What's up, my pungios? Andy with Tech Influence here. Excited to finally go over the newer metal rig kit here for your iPhone 17 Pro Max to allow you to have 17mm lens mount as well as T-series lens mount on an all anodized aluminum cage for cinematography, photography, running and gunning, making vlogs, or even shooting at really high fidelity ProRes log cinema-like content. It's got cold shoe mounts. It's got quarter 20 here for grips or any of your other accessories, and you still have access to MagSafe, which is great if you want to throw a battery or a mount there for your other accessories. With that said, this video is sponsored. I do have a relationship with Neewer. All of the lenses and accessories that we go over here will be in the description, as well as the case if you wanted to support the channel. With that said, let's go on location, film with some of their lenses, including their 85 or their 65 and some of the other products that are my favorites. Unboxing is pretty straightforward. I do have some of their rigging here that are like their handles that you can use to grip. I didn't end up buying the creator kit this time. Opening up the Neewer case, I like how the case is a little bit more rigid. Last year it was like paper thin. Packaging is nice, and it comes with all the appropriate mounts here to make content. You've got their 17mm mount, you've got their T-Series T mount, and then you even have a mount for their 65mm as well. Going over the rest of the case, you can see it's anodized aluminum, gives you maybe a 1/2 inch thickness. You've got silicone for the buttons. You got your quarter 20 mounts there. You even have a little strap for a wrist strap. On the bottom side here, if you wanted to get the grip there as well, you have access to the cold shoe mount on the top and the other quarter 20s there as well. There is this little rubberized button here if you wanted to access camera control. I don't necessarily like that on the 16 Pro Max. I lost this because it falls out very easily. It is still connected by this little bar, but otherwise it doesn't seem like it's a very well thought out. You do have the railing here for their Pro grips if that's something you're interested in. And then you can see the camera plateau is covered by their anodized aluminum as well. The railing on the inside is protected with silicone. Make sure when you're switching out the mounts that you don't have it closed, you have it open, because when you close it, it actually kind of holds in this third point. So opening it up here, we're gonna follow the arrows, have the arrows run flush, pull it down. You can feel it snap into place where these little points lock in, and then you place your phone in there. Now you're gonna have a very tight, snug fit. It's now gonna lock into place. Your mount is not gonna go anywhere. Now that it's locked into place, you have access to the T-Series. So if you wanted to throw on the 16mm wide, you can throw it on there and it looks just fine. Otherwise, you can place on the 17mm, slide that down, lock it into place, and you're ready to throw on your favorite Neewer lenses. Here is the 85 chunky boy. This guy is ridiculous. You can throw it on there. 17mm lens mount looks great. The 85 is beautiful. It is massive. The 65 recently came out, and this is a good option as well if you don't want something that is too burdensome. I like this guy. You can throw on the wide here, which is what we will show in the demonstration. If you wanted, you can still throw on MagSafe. I've got this card wallet. Otherwise, my go-to is this 15-watt, 5,000 milliamp battery. This is my go-to for charging while making content. Okay, we're here on location with the video rig. As you can see here, I got this nice little camera grip. It's the expert grip with the shutter button. It latches on here to these access points. Moving on to the most chunky of the boys here. This is the 85mm. It is massive. You can see how big this is. This one is so tight. Focal length is almost like a 200mm. It's an 85mm on this iPhone 17 Pro Max. Lots of glass there. Anodized aluminum body. Show you what that looks like. Now we're gonna go ahead and show you the 85mm. As you can see, this is the 1X. Let's throw the 85 on. You can see how much it punches in there. This rig looks really good here, still allowing you to be able to zoom in well past 2X. The 85mm does a great job still being able to process through that 1X lens. In high fidelity, I can zoom up to about 3 or 4X. Now it's getting into the digital zoom as I go further into 8X, past 8X into 24X. 4X plus the 85 millimeter. It looks kind of gross. This isn't ideal, but right around the 1 to 2X range still looks really good here as we zoom in. There is a minimum focal length here as I look up into that light. It's got nice bokeh in the back. If you want to zoom in and see the bokeh, those bokeh balls do show up pretty well. I like that. I'm about 3 to 5 feet away. This is ideally what it's going to get you as you zoom in. You can get close to that box elder bug. You can see how high fidelity that is. It looks great. Getting the sun before it goes down, it's nice. It's autumn here where I live. Really high fidelity. It's got a further focal distance here. I still have to be about 2 feet away from my subject before it gets into focus. That's why the 65 is nice. Okay, so this is with it zoomed in quite a bit. I'm at the 4X plus the 85 millimeter lens. This has some pretty good bokeh in the background. I have it on my tripod. It is a little bit wobbly, but I think it looks pretty good if you wanted to get some distance. I think I could push it out even further to get some serious compression if I wanted. This is a nice little shot. I got closer to the camera. You can see how much blur there is in the background. This is pretty cool to be able to have as a really long telephoto lens without necessarily having to sacrifice much. I have it on that 4X lens. I haven't punched into 8X because it looks really grainy, but this looks pretty good. Okay, I've gone ahead and connected the 85 millimeter here to my 4X and 8X tele respectively. Right now it's on the 4X. You can see that I'm definitely compressed, but that lens does have a hard time being able to get it into crisp focus. You can see some definite bokeh in the background as that focal length is stretched, but I'm standing right about at the 2 window mark and it's still able to zoom in quite a bit, giving me a really nice profile. Let's zoom into 8X in this same spot and show you what that looks like. I'm standing in that same location and you can see how much it zooms in, obviously by a factor of 2, but having the 85 millimeter now plus the 8X lens, it's an interesting option. It's something that you can definitely consider. I backed up to my first window here, it's about 10 feet further, and you can see here I'm about in shot. It looks pretty good, but again, it doesn't quite align, and I think it might be the glass of the 85 millimeter, which is not as good as the 65 millimeter. We're starting with their 65 millimeter, really large lens. As you can see here, it's got a nice little hood there to reduce some of the flaring, but it looks fantastic being able to use this as your daily driver. This one's one of my favorites. I really love this one. I like it. Let's go ahead and throw on the 65. You can see here, this one punches significantly in well past 2X. It's still high fidelity. Computational photography is fantastic, and it's still very buttery smooth. I'm not getting any of the jitters as I hold it up. It does have a minimum focal distance. I'm about a foot away. As I get back, you can see it's about 1.5 feet away, which is not too bad. We can show you some bokeh here. That's about the focal distance. You can see nice bokeh in the background. They're not complete spheres, but it's still nice to be able to have that option. But what's nice here is you can get some close-up photography. I'm about 8 to 12 inches away showing you that bug, and I can punch into 2X. You can see here you got some fun options here. This is about 4X, giving you about an 8X optical. It punches in nicely. You can point it at the sun. There isn't too much of the flaring going on. As I go from the sun down to my fence, it's able to adjust focus and contrast. All right, now I've gone ahead and switched over to my 65 millimeter lens. This is one of my favorites here, but they did a great job. I'm standing exactly where I was when I first filmed. However, I pushed the camera back about 20 feet. So I'm probably a good 20 feet, maybe 25 feet away from the camera. And I've got a really nice portrait shot here with the background nice and blurry. It is compressing the shot, obviously, but it's still being able to maintain my complexion despite the sun going down. This lens does a great job being able to maintain that fidelity. Now, obviously the 4X lens is not as good as the main 1X, but I think this is a good option here if you want to do some landscape shots, if you want to do some interviews. It is a great option to be able to do that. And obviously the closer I get to the lens, the more blurry the background is going to get. It looks fantastic here. I'm trying to line myself up. It's hard to be able to see here because I don't have a second cameraman, but being able to be about 25 feet away with a nice nice compressed shot is great. The lens does a good job being able to keep me in focus, maintain the clarity of my skin, and even have some richness in the background here with a nice dynamic range. Here is 8X punching in. I'm back at the spot where I was here when I first shot the 4X. You can see how much it punches in. Keeping my head in frame is a little bit more difficult because I don't necessarily have a monitor to be able to see clear. I do have my Apple Watch, but I'm struggling to be able to keep myself in frame. I'm gonna back up now and show you what a full portrait shot will look like. I've now significantly distanced myself from the camera. I'm probably 30, 35 feet away, closer to the fence than I have been. Very end of my last window. It's definitely compressed. It's a little blurry. The background is still blurry, but this isn't super ideal for what we're trying to do. We've currently got the Moment Lens mount set. You can see the Moment Lens now looks really great on this enclosure, allowing you to be able to operate it vertically or horizontally. Having this as your go-to is really nice. I think it looks great in the hand. All right, this is the native app with the 1X lens with no Moment Lens on there. You can go ahead and place the lens on. You can see field of view completely changes now. We've got so much room here on the side where this first window is. You can see the first 1.5 slats of my fence, and you've got still such a great field of view without any extra necessarily a bowing that's happening at the top or the bottom of the lens. I really like that. Great fidelity, and you still have a very stable lens there with that center shift, being able to make great content. The 18 mil is great for nice close-ups as well. You can still have good bokeh without having it warp or anything like that. Getting a nice sleek portrait shot. Pointing at the sun here, you can see there's a little bit of flaring, but not too bad as I focus. You can see about 2.5 of my fence. The fence line is nice and straight with a really wide field of view. There is a natural flaring across the lens here as I move it. As I pan left to right, there's a little bit of a flare, which is kind of nice if you like that. Coming up closer, you still have a nice field of view up close. Macro, you can still have macro here, seeing the deterioration of my fence while being able to account for focus there out in the distance, and even focusing here up front right there on that lens. You can see the entirety of my house in shot. It just looks great. The contrast is fine as well. The darks here aren't too dark there in the corner, but you do have also some highlights here where the sun is, being able to see the darkest darks and the lightest lights. I'm holding it at arm's length, and you can see it's good to be able to have as a vlogging tool. It's easy to be able to use. And then if you wanted to, this grip can still zoom a little bit all the way up to about 4X until it jumps to the Tele. Right there, you can do that as well, making it fun to be able to have if you still want to have zooming in. As I walk in direct sunlight, you can still see that it's still able to compose my face really well despite the sun being directly in the lens, which I like. I like to do a run, showing you it's still stable while still having this lens on there. There's no burning or like dodging going on around the edges. I think they did a great job here with this lens. I've gone ahead and switched over to the fisheye. This is the 8mm. Throwing it on the grip, you can see it looks really nice in the hand, but it's fun to have. Let's go ahead and throw on the fisheye. Gives you about 230 degrees, 8mm. That is a very wide angle, almost getting the side of my entire house. You can see how much it bows here. You can see the top of my pergola. It does bow here at the bottom. As you can see, it's starting to bow. It bows up here at the top. This is great for shooting extreme sports, skateboarding. If you're wanting to get that really nice wide angle fisheye look, getting close to a subject. The minimum focal length is fantastic. You can get so close while maintaining that fidelity. As the sun goes down, you can get like the entirety of my backyard. That's about the width of my backyard. Pretty amazing. As the sun goes down, panoramas are great, easy to vlog with. I've got my whole body in shot, and it just looks good in the hand. I like that. You can see how bendy it is here on the edges and on the top. My house is so bendy, but this is a great shot for vlogging, something that I recommend. Some of that footage was so buttery. This rig is what I use, which is nice with a shutter button. You can see there, it's nice and grippy, and it's native to their rig. The 65mm is one of my favorite lenses to be able to play with, making vlogs, streaming, shooting content, and having something to go ahead and run and gun with. With that said, the Neewer rig metal grip is fantastic. It's nice for content creation. They have a smorgasbord of options here to shoot on. on. It looks great in the hand, and I think it goes well with that blue. With that said, this video is sponsored. I have a relationship with Neewer. Down below in the links in the description will be the product pricing and availability. Tell me which lens you thought was your favorite in the comments below. I appreciate it. Andy with Tech Influence. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.